Hi, my name is Madison Stone. Today I'll be talking about my research topic, the effects of comparing ourselves on social media, specifically Instagram. I'm going to walk through 3 research articles, and for each one I'll explain 4 things: the existence, the quality, the scope, and the policy of the article. All 3 articles together help answer the question, how does comparing ourselves on Instagram affect how we see our bodies and ourselves? The first article is Social Comparison on Instagram and its relationship with self-esteem and body esteem by Taylor and Arms, a 2024 article. The existence of the article is that this study shows that social comparison definitely happens on Instagram, and it has measurable effects on both self-esteem and body esteem. Young adults were randomly assigned to view different types of Instagram images that were designed to create negative, positive, or neutral reactions. The researchers measured participants' self-esteem and body esteem before and after viewing these images so that they could see if the comparisons actually changed how people felt about themselves, or if it didn't. The quality of the article, in terms, the design is pretty strong because it's an experiment with random assignment and clear before and after measurements. The images show that downward comparisons, which are when people looked at images they didn't find intimidating or attractive, led to significant increases in both self-esteem and body esteem. As for upward comparisons, which were when people looked at images they found attractive or intimidating compared to themselves, decreased body image, but it didn't significantly change overall self-esteem. Neutral images, lastly, didn't really move the needle either way. People looked at these images and didn't have a reaction, essentially. So this article is a high quality evidence that the direction of comparison on Instagram matters. Who you compare yourself to can change how you feel about your body in the moment. The scope of the article is that the authors explain these findings using social comparisons theory, which is the idea that we look at other figures, or we look at others to figure out how we're doing and how we should feel. The scope of the study suggests that upward comparisons, which were, like I said, to people we see as better, can harm perceptions. As for downward comparisons, can give a temporary boost, but they don't necessarily fix deeper issues with self-image. So the scope extends beyond just Instagram is bad. It shows that not all comparisons is equally harmful. The meaning we assign to what we really see is what matters the most. Policy for this article. For policy, the article points towards education and awareness. If people understood how social comparisons work, they could notice when they're making upward comparisons that hurt their body image, and as well as be more intentional about who they follow and how they interpret what they see. This suggests that social media literacy programs could help users manage their emotional reactions to Instagram content and overall protect their self-esteem. The second article I want to talk about is social media and body dissatisfaction in young adults, an experimental investigation of the effects of different image content in influencing constructs by Silva and Steins. The existence of the study is that the study provides evidence that the type of content we see on Instagram directly affects body satisfaction. Young adults were shown either idealized beauty images, which were highly polished, Photoshop, perfect bodies, or body diverse images showing different body types and more realistic representation. After viewing, participants reported how satisfied they felt with their own bodies. I'm sorry, there's something stuck in my eye. After viewing, participants reported how satisfied they felt with their own bodies. The existence finding is clear. Idealized content increases body dissatisfaction, while body diverse content improves body satisfaction. The quality of the article, like the first article, this is an experimental study, so the quality is fairly strong. The main result is that idealized content results in more body dissatisfaction, whereas body diverse content results in less body dissatisfaction. so more satisfaction in their overall appearance. The authors argue that Instagram's heavy emphasis on idealized bodies is not neutral. It actively shapes how users see themselves. At the time, they show that exposure to diverse and realistic content can act as a protective factor, which adds nuance to the idea that social media is always bad. The scope of the article is that the scope of this article goes beyond just individual feelings and points to a larger system level influences like algorithms that push certain types of images to the top of the feed, or the way the platform was just generally designed, and what gets rewarded can promote idealized, edited, or filtered bodies that in reality aren't realistic. So the issue isn't only about personal insecurity, it's also about how platforms are structured and what they amplify, and more so what they push out to their audience. The policy of the article. For policy, this article suggests we need to think about both platform design and media literacy. So that might include teaching users what they see online is often edited, filtered, or posed in a way to make it seem like it's natural, where like mentioned, in real life, it's not natural. I think we also could encourage platforms to promote more body diverse content rather than only idealized beauty standards that you see plastered in front of our faces constantly, as well as building features or campaigns that normalize different body shapes, sizes, and appearance. So this article points towards solutions that include algorithm changes and education, not just telling people to spend less time online. My last article is about, the third article is sex difference in body image, exercise motivation, and social comparison among Instagram users. It was a cross-sectional study by, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, Nemaya, somewhere in my annotated bibliography. The existence of this study shows that both men and women experience body dissatisfaction linked to Instagram use, but it can look different for each group. The study included 212 participants. 106 of them were men, 106 of them are women. They were from ages 20 to 30. So this study examined differences in body image, exercise motivation, social comparison on Instagram. So it establishes that negative body perceptions on Instagram are not just a woman's issue, they also show up across genders. The quality of this was that this is a cross-sectional study, so it measures all variables at one point in time instead of manipulating them. That means that we can see associations, but we can't prove strict cause and effect the way the experiments can. The results are informative. Women reported significantly greater body comparison than men. Men reported higher levels of exercise motivation, suggesting that comparison may push them more towards working out. Following fitness-related pages was linked to higher body dissatisfaction in both men and women. So the author also found no significant gender differences in the overall degree of social comparison on Instagram, which means both women and men compare themselves. They just happen to express it differently. So the scope of this article shows that Instagram's impact on body image is broad. It affects different genders. It interacts with fitness culture and exercise motivation, and it suggests that harmful comparison can happen even when people are trying to be healthy. This helps us understand that body comparison on Instagram is not limited to one group, and that it is tied to how we think about health, attractiveness, and exercise. The policy, for policy, Nemaya, which is the author, argues that gender-specific interventions might be helpful. For example, for women, programs might focus more on reducing appearance comparison and challenging unrealistic beauty standards. For men, on the other hand, programs might address exercise motivation driven by insecurity and also talk about the pressures to achieve a muscular or fit body. So, overall, both groups could benefit from critical thinking about fitness pages and the often unrealistic bodies promoted there. Um, Overall, in conclusion, when we put these three articles together, a clear pattern does come to light. Social comparison on Instagram is common and powerful. Upward comparisons to idealized, attractive, or perfect bodies tend to lower body satisfaction. Downward comparisons can give short-term boosts, but they don't necessarily create long-term healthy self-images. Diverse, realistic content can help protect users against some of the harmful effects of comparison, and these effects show up across genders but may influence behavior in different ways, um, such as increased exercise motivation in men. Um, so, in short, how we compare ourselves on Instagram isn't just a small habit. It can change how we feel about our bodies, our self worth, and even what we do in response. Understanding these patterns is the first step towards designing healthier online spaces and healthier ways of using them. Thank you.